Here's Prime Minister Netanyahu in a very personal address to the nation of Israel and to many other groups that he's reaching out to. Let's hear him.
אזרחי ישראל, לפני שנה
So he says now the first people he's turning to is citizens of Israel. So he says, citizens of Israel, only a year ago,
חגגנו את חג הסוכות.
we were preparing for and we celebrated the Sukkot holiday.
באותה עת בדיוק, יחיא סינואר עסק בהכנות האחרונות לטבח ה-7 באוקטובר.
As we were preparing for our holiday, we were celebrating our holiday, Yehia Sinwar was preparing for the October 7th massacre at that very time.
אני ניצב בפניכם היום כדי לבשר לכם שיחיא סינואר חוסל.
I stand before you today in order to announce to you that Yehia Sinwar has been eliminated.
מי שביצע את הטבח הנורא ביותר בתולדות עמנו מאז השואה.
He who has committed the worst crime against the Jewish people since the Holocaust.
רב המרצחים שרצח אלפי ישראלים.
A mass murderer who murdered thousands of Israelis.
חטף מאות אזרחינו.
Who kidnapped hundreds of our citizens.
חוסל היום על ידי חיילינו הגיבורים.
Was destroyed today by our brave soldiers.
והיום, כפי שהתחייבנו לעשות, באנו איתו חשבון.
And today, as we promised we would, we came to an accounting with him. We did an accounting with him.
היום הרוע ספג מכה קשה.
Today, evil has been struck a mighty blow.
אבל המשימה שלפנינו עדיין לא הושלמה.
However, the mission before us is not yet completed. Now I want to add of my own words. This is a very important point that he's making, which is important to repeat. The elimination of Yehia Sinwar is certainly a great goal, an achievement of a goal, and is important for reaching the strategic victory. But it's a mistake to start believing that it's all over, that we've won, that the war can be terminated. Far from it. The war continues very strong, both in Gaza and in South Lebanon. And so his words here are in order to dissuade those people who want to be like, okay, great, the war is over. No, it's not over. We still have to, there's a lot to fight and to clean out the jihad. Let's continue.
למשפחות החטופים היקרות, אני אומר, זהו רגע חשוב במלחמה. אנחנו נמשיך בכל הכוח, עד להשבתם הביתה של כל יקיריכם, שהם יקירנו.
So he says, now he turns to a different group of people. He says, families of the hostages, this is an important milestone, but we're not going to stop until we are able to secure the release of all the hostages, which are your loved ones and our loved ones.
זו מחויבות עליונה שלנו, זו מחויבות עליונה שלי.
It is of a highest priority for us. It is of highest priority for me.
ולתושבי עזה אני אומר.
Now he turns to a completely different group of people, and he's saying, now he wants to talk directly to the residents of Gaza, to the Arabs. So this is a totally different group of people that he's reaching out to. So he says, to the residents of Gaza.
סינואר הרס לכם את החיים.
He says, Sinwar has destroyed your life.
הוא סיפר לכם שהוא אריה.
He told you that he was a lion.
אבל בפועל, הוא הסתתר במאורה חשוכה, והוא חוסל כשהוא נמלט בבהלה מחיילינו.
He told you that he was a lion, but in fact, he was hiding the whole time in tunnels and was eliminated by our soldiers as he was running in fear.
חיסולו הוא ציון דרך חשוב בשקיעת שלטון הרשע של החמאס.
His elimination is an important milestone in the elimination of the rule of Hamas.
ואני מבקש לומר שוב, בצורה הכי ברורה.
And now I ask to say clearly, in a way that is the clearest possible means.
החמאס לא ישלוט יותר בעזה.
Hamas will not rule anymore in Gaza. Gaza will not be ruled by Hamas at the end of this conflict.
זוהי תחילתו של היום שאחרי חמאס.
This is the beginnings of the day after Hamas.
וזו הזדמנות בשבילכם תושבי עזה, להשתחרר סוף סוף מעריצותו.
And this is your opportunity, residents of Gaza, to free yourselves of his oppressive rule.
למחבלי החמאס אני אומר.
But now he turns to a different group of peoples and he says to the Hamas terrorists themselves. So he's turning now, first he talked to the citizens of Israel, then he talked to the Gaza residents, now he turns to Hamas fighters.
מנהיגיכם בורחים והם יחוסלו.
Your leadership is on the run and they're going to be eliminated.
אני קורא לכל מי שמחזיק בחטופינו,
I call to anybody who is holding on to our hostages.
מי שיניח את נשקו וישיב את חטופינו, נאפשר לו לצאת ולחיות.
Whoever puts down their arms and releases our hostages, we're going to let them go free. We're going to give you safe passage. In other words, he's adding now, he's saying, look, I'm putting a deal out. Put down your weapons, release the hostages, and you could live.
ובאותה מידה אני אומר, מי שיפגע בחטופינו, דמו בראשו.
And he says, but at the same breath, on the same measure, whoever hurts our hostages, his blood is in his head, i.e., and that's a Hebrew expression meaning he's a dead man.
נבוא איתו חשבון.
We will come to an accounting with him.
השבת חטופינו היא הזדמנות להשגת כל יעדינו, והיא מקרבת את סיום המלחמה.
The return of our hostages means coming close to the fulfillment of all our war aims and goals, and it could lead to the end of the war.
לעמי האזור אני אומר,
Now he's turning to a different audience altogether, and he says, I'm turning to the nations of the Middle East.
בעזה, בביירות, ברחבי האזור כולו, החושך נסוג והאור עולה.
So he says, in Gaza and in Beirut and in the whole area, the darkness is going away and light is coming onto the scene. In other words, let me paraphrase. He's saying the end of jihadist rule is the end of darkness, and light is coming onto the scene right now.
דף, הנייה, סינואר, נסראללה, מוחסן, אקיל ורבים משותפיהם אינם.
The leadership of both Hamas, I'm paraphrasing, the leadership of both Hamas and Hezbollah is eliminated. They are no longer.
אני קורא לכם,
And their allies as well. Basically saying the top leadership is gone.
עמי האזור, יש בפנינו הזדמנות גדולה לבלום את ציר הרשע וליצור עתיד אחר.
And therefore, we have an unparalleled opportunity, unprecedented opportunity to hit the brakes on the axis of evil, to push back on the axis of evil, and to create a different kind of future for us.
עתיד של שלום, עתיד של שגשוג באזור כולו.
A future of peace, a future of prosperity for the whole region.
ביחד אנחנו יכולים להדוף את הכללה ולקדם את הברכה.
Together, we could push back the curse and bring a time of blessing. And here I'm adding that it's Middle East type language. You know, in the Arabic world, when I speak with Arabs, I always say to them, Israel will bring barakah. Barakah means bracha in Hebrew, Arabic barakah in English, blessing. Israel is a source of blessing. And this jihad, this is this whole theme, the Sinwar brought curse upon you. Look at the place that's been cursed. Israel is a source of blessing for you. And he's saying now to the peoples of the region, if they're in Yemen, if they're in Jordan, if they're in Egypt, if they're in Iraq, if they're in Syria, Israel is your source of blessing, as opposed to these accursed rulers who are bringing a time of curse upon all of us.
כעת ברור לכולם, בארץ ובעולם, מדוע התעקשנו לא לסיים את המלחמה.
Now he's turning to a different topic very adroitly. He says, and I'll translate, he says, now it's clear to everybody why we were so adamant about fighting this war and going into Rafah, when there were many who said that we should not go into this war, we should not fight this war. Now it's clear to everybody why we did it.
מדוע התעקשנו מול כל הלחצים?
Why were we so adamant against all the pressures that we faced?
כן להיכנס לרפיח.
Yes,
המעוז המבוצר של החמאס,
which is a stronghold, a fortress of the Hamas.
בו הסתתרו סינואר ורבים מרבי המרצחים.
This is where Sinwar hid, and many of the arch murderers were hiding out.
מבקש להביע הערכה עמוקה ללוחמי צה"ל והשב"כ ולמפקדיהם על
So let me just add that what he was saying was very important. He was saying there were a lot of people against me, saying that we should not go into Rafah. But I knew that if we go into Rafah, we're going to catch the bad guys, because that's where they're holding out. And he's saying this to the Israeli left, and he's saying this to the American administration. He's saying, you guys were all against me going into Rafah. You thought there was going to be, mass casualties. But in the end, we had to do it in order to get rid of the terrorists. And there wasn't really mass casualties like the ones that you predicted. There was casualties, certainly. I don't mean to make light of it, but it was not the catastrophe that you made it out. Bottom line is we had to go in, and I had to overcome a lot of pressures.
פעולתם הנחושה והאמיצה, אין טובים מהם.
And then he turns to another group of people and he says, I want to thank the General Security Services, the Shabak, the Mossad, the IDF, and the Special Forces, all the folks, and the Air Force. I want to thank all of the fighters. There's nobody as good as them. They are the best.
היום שוב הבהרנו מה קורה לאלה שפוגעים בנו.
Once again, today we showed what happens to those who strike at us, who hit us.
היום שוב הראינו לעולם את ניצחון הטוב על הרע.
Once again, we have shown the world what the victory of good over evil looks like. And I'm adding, that's his theme today, which is light versus darkness, blessing versus curses. And we have shown once again through the mighty hand of the IDF that indeed enemies can be destroyed. But he's not just done thanking the IDF and the security forces. He's going to thank God as well.
אבל המלחמה יקיריי, טרם הסתיימה.
But the war, says Prime Minister Netanyahu, the war, my dear ones, is yet to be done. It's far from done.
והיא קשה, והיא גובה מאיתנו מחירים כבדים.
It is a heavy war. It is a hard war, and it takes from us a heavy toll, a heavy price.
אני מבקש להביע מעומק ליבי את תנחומיי למשפחות שאיבדו את יקיריהן.
I want to, from the depths of my heart, issue condolences to families who have lost their loved ones. And in parentheses, I'm adding that we'll see at the end of today's program here that at the very day where Sinwar was eliminated, 5 Israeli soldiers were killed, including a good friend of mine.
אני מבקש לחבק את משפחות גיבורינו שנפלו.
I want to embrace the families of our heroes who have fallen.
הקרבתם העילאית, כולל בימים האחרונים, מקרבת אותנו לניצחון.
Their massive self-sacrifice, including in the last few days, and that's what he's hinting to, is bringing us closer to the ultimate victory.
כדברי דוד המלך, ארדפה אויביי ואשמידם.
And now he's quoting the Bible, and he says, as the words of King David, I will chase my enemies and I will destroy them. I will vanquish them.
ולא אשוב עד כלותם.
And I shall not return until their full destruction, their full vanquishment.
אזרחי ישראל,
Citizens of Israel,
אנחנו במלחמת התקומה. אתגרים גדולים עוד
we are in a war of a struggle of standing up against, of defiance.
לפנינו. אנו
And we have many challenges yet before us.
נדרשים לאורך רוח,
We need a deep breath. We need patience. We need fortitude.
לאחדות השורות,
To unity in the lines, unity of the Jewish people and of pro-Israel people around the world.
לאומץ לב, לעמידה
For courage, for strong stance.
איתנה. יחד נילחם,
Together we shall fight.
ובעזרת השם, יחד ננצח.
And with the help of God, we will be victorious together as well. A very powerful speech from Prime Minister Netanyahu. And it's important to note, Prime Minister Netanyahu, as I said before, on the one hand, he's a wartime leader, the commander-in-chief. And on the other hand, he's also trying to clean up his role in allowing the enemies to build up underneath our noses and to create a military infrastructure underneath our noses and get armed and be able to attack us. And so this is a long time in coming. And I think that it's important to understand that Prime Minister Netanyahu is doing an amazing job throughout this war and continuing to push forward. But he also knows that if he doesn't, he will not clean his record of allowing this war to be prepared against us. So that's Prime Minister Netanyahu. Sinwar is dead. Israelis are celebrating, and the war continues. And that's really the other part of that message, which is like, the war continues, guys. Don't relax now. Don't think to yourself, okay, we killed the bad guy, so it's all over. No, the war certainly continues, and there's a lot more. And indeed, throughout this period, even after the announcement of Sinwar's elimination, there has been more Israeli killed, more soldiers have been attacked, more rockets have been launched against the north of Israel, more terror acts, and we have a long while to go until we can claim total victory with the help of God of the elimination of jihadist forces in our land.